Hello everyone, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're watching us from. Welcome to yet another episode of the Checkmate. We are in week 50 of 2025 and we have a lot in stock for you with the usual suspect, Nicholas Nwamenya. Very welcome.
Thank you, sir.
How was your week? What's the highlight?
My week was a good week. A lot of positives. We're coming to the close of this very wonderful year.
2 weeks to go.
2 weeks to go. So we are really excited. The period and time is exciting itself. So pretty good week. I don't wonder how yours was.
It was a good one. Quite busy, but we thank God and we are hopeful that we'll close the year in style.
Indeed.
So in a week where EC delivered many rulings, in a week where Jacqueline Mbabazi is unopposed, Rwashande is still a candidate, Walukaga, as we speak, is not a candidate. The CDF is cleaning internal graft within the UPDF. Court dismissed the habeas corpus application for Sam Mugumya. In still the week where the EC and the chairperson of the Human Rights Commission wrote complaining about the violence, but also the chairperson of the Human Rights Commission said that they fear to say some things because of their safety. Still in the same week, the Daily Monitor ran a story ranking the best and the worst MPs in the parliament that is yet to be concluded. This is the Checkmate. We will summarize, of course, and discuss 5 of the major stories that happened in the previous week, as we usually do here on this podcast. And I would like to remind you, if you're watching us for the first time, that the Checkmate 256 is just a podcast that summarizes the news of what is happening in Uganda. It's non-partisan. It is fair and it's balanced. We just tell you what happened. We compare it with history, bring you the facts and the statistics to ensure that you have a bigger picture of what is happening around you. We thank you for subscribing, for sending in your comments. We thank you for making sure that you're part of the making, for sharing the link when you see it, wherever it comes on your screen or in your timeline, wherever you just got us from. Thank you very much. And if you're watching for the first time, welcome on board. Welcome to play with us. Maybe I should also add that if you would like to advertise, please just reach out on the numbers on the screen and we'll be able to slot you and tell you the packages, because it costs money to bring this together. And you are welcome to join us in the conversation. Nicholas,
Yes.
we have a lot to unpack. And
Sure,
I think let's start with, I don't know if you want to compare this. What we are doing as a 5 stories, by popular call. We are talking about the campaign trail and the story of NUP, the wars and the cries and the tears. We're also talking about the security forces in response to the brutality and the disruptions. We'll also talk about the EC rulings, of course, with a focused discussion on Walukaga, on Rwashande, on Jacqueline Mbabazi. You will tell us more about that. We will also talk about the uncomfortable conversation of the tribal murmurings, the dangers that may be as tribal undertones start to creep in the national conversations, especially in this political season. And then finally, we'll talk about the double trouble of UEDCL and national water. I hope you're not watching us on your solar because power has chucked, or that you are waiting for water to come back. But we'll tell you what is happening in the corridors of power and why some things are as they are as far as your utility is concerned. This is the Checkmate 256. Story number 1, Nicholas.
Yes, sir.
The campaign trail. And the story of NUP really being the focus of the news, covered by the dailies, both in print and on our screens, with focus with what happened in Gulu on the 6th of December, where we had some plain-clothed people with Chiboko, like Ryunkoni.
Some of them, actually, most of them are not even plain clothes. They were in the military attire.
Yes, there was a mixture of both, really. Some who are in uniform and others who are plain clothes, wearing plain clothes. And some faces have been seen all around the trail, and some have been since identified, but some were shielded by police. NUP, there's a gentleman that died while NUP said NUP was saying that he succumbed to those injuries after beating. The police came out to say that it was a different story, and he had been lynched for being suspected for stealing a mobile phone. But the bigger story was on the violence visited on the NUP and NUP supporters by the police, by the military, by the security forces. That did not stop in Gulu, Nicholas. The day when the candidate Kyagulanyi had his campaign in Nakawa West, for the rallies that happened down in Chambogo and also behind in Ndere Center, same thing. And there's a very gruesome image of the police stepping on the head and beating over and over, and a policeman spraying tear gas, electrocuting people. It's been happening yesterday in Fort Portal. Everything that is happening, I think, no, Fort Portal was on Wednesday and Tuesday, whatever happened. The violence goes on and on. And it's a story that made headlines, with also the EC now coming up to say that, look, we are looking at the violence, but the EC, the verdict was, we are calling the police to investigate the matter. Yet NUP is saying that it's the police that is visiting this violence on its supporters. Please, Wayne.
Thank you so much, Harold. And I hope you're doing well. Our dear viewers, want to thank you for keeping with us and subscribing to the channel, leaving your comments as you should from today's video, and encouraging us to go on, and sometimes correcting us, sometimes spurring the conversation. And that is the spirit of the podcast. It is to start these national conversations from your perspective. These are our opinions, and we hope that you too, you can type in yours and say, this is how I think this matter goes in my hand. Now, the topics that we're discussing today, in one or the other, marry into themselves.
Sure.
Yeah, because it is the campaign trail. The security forces coming to, for example, if I talk about this campaign trail, I may talk about what the police came out to say.
And the electoral commission.
So in case they just marry themselves,
we can actually combine one and two, and
one long conversation. So, but for purposes of those people who come targeting a certain segment, we will try to keep a certain kind of order. But you'll excuse me if we marry them.
If you spill, it's okay.
Yeah, and our viewers may ask for just a bit of background. Why do we say campaign trail and then say what is the focus on NUP? Because the campaign trail on the other candidates, it's business as usual. It does not the ideal, or in a more different society, and not even very different, even in our neighbors here in Kenya, under normal circumstances, what is supposed to happen is what is happening on Museveni's trail, Nandara Mafabi, Monyagwa, Muchamuntu, and any other person that is doing campaigns. You go to it. These are mapped out. There's no one who clashes. You are supposed to campaign. People they show up in Shema and announced and planned. The
schedule is designed from the very beginning.
Sat down with these candidates and their agents and everyone and made a schedule and said, on this day,
Nicholas,
6th of December 2025, candidate Kyagulanyi is going to campaign in Gulu city. You see that kind of thing? On this ground, say Gulu University grounds. For instance, you see that kind of thing. So under normal circumstances, what is supposed to happen is that the candidate is supposed to drive from their home or from their hotel or anywhere, just go there, meet their people, campaign, and go back. And that one,
and even if they wanted to do a one-on-one door-to-door,
yes,
it's part of the process.
Of the process. If, for example, they have a campaign in Gulu, they can decide to say, let's do door-to-door in the morning.
Some candidates are doing it.
Yes, some candidates are doing that. We do door-to-door, then we drive to the rally at 2-3 because the rallies end at 6. So even if you reach at 5 and speak for 1 hour, you can even reach at 5:30 and speak for 30 minutes. So what happened in Gulu was honestly bare knuckles. You see, now the campaign has reached a point. Back in then, it used to be in windows. It used to be behind closed doors. It used to be opaque, but now it's translucent. It's bare knuckles. It's nothing to spare.
Rudimentary.
It's rudimentary. You see, guys were beating. Maybe you've not watched those videos, but I know most of our viewers have. Guys were beating because when they started to beat the candidate to prevent him from walking to the venue.
Yes.
He was surrounded by his security unit first. So this is the Honorable Kyagulanyi, surrounded by his security the guys in black.
Yes.
I think they are given by the EC. Then outside there was another ring of his supporters who are saying you cannot be
the security team, actually.
Yes.
His own security team, the party, yes.
Yes, now was outside. They first beat those ones, and they are beating them in a style that Harold, me and you know we have looked after cattle before, but you cannot even beat cows like that, honestly speaking. You cannot even beat cows like that. But these guys were animated. These guys were beating. These security officers were also being beaten. The guys in black, you know? And there were the guys trying to calm these people down, but these people were determined because I think they had received an order from wherever they had received it from. You know,
Undertones. You've seen some clips of people coming out to say that they were paid to mar violence,
and they have named some names. They have named some names, actually. You know, I think today morning the Honorable Chagulanyi posted on his X page that among the videos that were circulating, there was a name mentioned, Honorable, I think, Ojara Mapenduzi.
Yes, Mapenduzi, who has actually now come to defend himself in another clip.
I've not watched it. They also named another new minister from Gulu, who was formerly a powerful individual in the opposition, but crossed the government benches recently and was made a minister. His name was also circulated, that they know that he
had a part to play.
Because you see, when I mentioned it before here, that there is this whole thing that these people, let's say me and you come from Shema, and we want to show that Snoop is actually not existent in Shema. So we do everything possible, influence police, influence the RDCs, say, guys, if we come here and Snoop has a red parade and people everywhere, what will the appointing authority think of us? They will think either we are weak or we are propagating, or we are maybe at worst agents of So in Gulu it was unprecedented. But when it happened again in Fort,
on the way to Fort
Portal, you see, once can be a coincidence, but twice becomes a pattern. So you can say that the pattern now is that this man is not allowed to campaign in big cities. In cities, he's not allowed to campaign. He can campaign in Chegegwa. He can campaign in Toroko, where the Bundibujo.
You wouldn't find a major town in those
farmers.
areas.
These are basically farmers, you know, and just, but he is not allowed to campaign in Gulu city.
So it's more of an attack on his support points, knowing that he has urban,
not just urban, but rural. Okay, urban rural.
Because as long as there's a town beat that is dominated by youth, these are the people with the smartphones. They know who he is. It's an easy, low-hanging fruit for the NUP, and they are frustrating that access.
For what I had thought about it. Why? Because first of all, the president had just left a few days prior.
You don't want that comparison.
This is going to be the direct comparison of HC was pulled more numbers. That is one. Number two, the youth supporters of the NUP in Fort Portal were quite excited. So the previous night or early morning we saw videos of them trying to put these red ribbons, trying to put things all over, the fever was actually, we are excited to welcome. So I think that the people who saw this from afar were like, I don't think
because what is more shocking is, for example, when the campaign trail had just started, it was a very normal thing where people would just snoop around and know where candidate Chagulanyi had slept in a hotel, and then by morning there are people all over. You saw how much strength the police used to disrupt that trend in Fort Portal.
Yes.
Because some of the people, I saw a very unfortunate clip of a policeman who beat with a stick someone on top of the head, and the guy blacked out. It's a video circulating, and it's to say, why are you gathering here? Go and disperse immediately. Police and military doing that. To say that even for the statements that were making news to say of the areas that he didn't have support, this is happening, that also is being frustrated.
Yes, and it was unfortunate because I saw also some clips moving around of even the businesses that were close to the hotel he slept in were told not to open. Nobody was allowed to be in the vicinity. And I don't know how. Of course, I mean, the government has reached a level where it might be the only way, but this is inciting. I saw Batolo crying. I know, our friends, the Batolo, they're just very soft people. Bantire nkoni, bakozile bati mundeke bachari tabagenda kureka.
Kine
kinkozire, bakyara nkubire. But it's tumwenyamo, but ensonga zile very serious.
It's really serious and sad.
This is inciting. These guys avoided to listen to this message. They avoided to what will make these people think when you announce the election that this is a true representation of these results when they were not even allowed to campaign. And we'll talk about that when we come to the EC.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, what should
bringing an election, an unfair and free and free and fair elections start from the day you announce the program.
The program. So if people are not even allowed at some point in Fort, after being diverted so many times. Remember, Chagoni was 10 minutes away from the campaign scene. Yeah. They were seeing it from afar like Moses, but they were not touching it.
Like kind of Moses.
Yeah. They were seeing it from afar.
The promised land, they never got to enter.
They're not allowed to touch it, to enter it. So I don't understand how this can continue to go on and on and on. The EC is seated, is giving statements.
See, I'm waiting for, and incidentally, the judiciary was in Ginger for a training on how to handle election petitions, including the president's election petition. In normal countries, Nicholas, when you're handling and dealing with election petitions, and I've just given a picture to say that a free and fair election goes from the day the Electoral Commission announces the program, the election program, which is, I think, one of the first things they do is the hanging of the registers.
Yes. To
say, now verify if you note your name and you want to transfer etc. But from that journey up to the announcing of results, you have scenarios that do not make sense in a Ugandan election. For example, the statement that the EC made, which you're going to comment on, to say we have seen violence, it's an admission of a sector of unfairness. It takes away the free and fair election.
Fairness,
the fairness part.
And the freedom.
Yes, and the freedom of expression. Because what we're talking about in some of these things, it's even my argument for the bigger picture of what we'll talk about, the cancellation of some candidates. It's beyond the candidates. Harold was standing with Nicholas. Nominations have closed. You have disqualified Harold. You've left the people of this place with one candidate. It's disenfranchisement.
It is.
101. So when we're talking about this, that if someone is not freely campaigning, that's full affidavit evidence to start when they are lodging a presidential election petition number 1 of 2026. And we cannot deny its eyes to say that what was read and what was declared. And you see, even some of the people that are arguing to say, why is the opposition legitimizing this process? Yet they have already seen, and you go for an election, of course we discussed that in the past, you go for an election, you think that the results are predetermined, you're going all through this and you're not trying to beat the system and breathe hope or to challenge that free and fairness. And the systems are there just watching, and it's an unfortunate bit that we just wait for 5 years to legitimize an illegality.
If I didn't have, I would already tell you that the results of the election petition 2026 number 1 is that although there was disruptions and fairness and everything, it didn't amount to enough.
It wasn't substantial
enough to
affect the results.
But like you have said, in a proper functioning society, we should be able to do better. But also, there is a certain level of disruptions, a certain level of violence, a certain level of that can be related. But when things become blunt and it becomes,
you saw the statement of Chris Magezi.
Hands are off. Maybe we can delve and talk about security forces and their statements. You know, because the question is he really, really, really in charge of this election? I think that is the biggest question. Is that
the Independent Electoral Commission
in charge of this election? Because it seems as if the EC is not sure if the candidates have sat down. And what happened in Good was a few days, 1, 2, 3, about 2 days or so.
They had already complained, and
when they had sat down with candidates, with their agents, brought their complaints, saying, guys, brutality is a lot. We're being stopped from campaigning
our campaign
venues. And 2-3 days, because EC is supposed to be the overall authority over this election, even to the point of how the security forces are supposed to work at the pleasure of the Electoral Commission to support the Electoral Commission.
They are a stakeholder in an exercise that is supervised and controlled
by the Electoral Commission. That's why the Electoral Commission can say, we have given you this security to the different candidates.
Sure.
It's a kind of thing. But it looks increasingly every day that passes that Electoral Commission is not in charge of this election. Neither, and I saw the police gentleman, the Chituma, spokesperson trying to speak. And you can clearly say that, ideally the police is supposed to, the army is supposed to come to support the police, to say, okay, the situation here seems to be a little bit out of hand. Can we have reinforcements? But now he is being forced, and I felt some kind of pity for him, because he's being forced now to admit, to take responsibility for things that are way above him. He doesn't know where these guys come from. He doesn't know what the orders to stop them are, what the intentions are. I don't think that as spokesperson of police, they will tell him now, this person has said this person should not go because of... No. Let's
speak about statements, Nicholas. The Minister of Constitutional Affairs, Norbert Mao, comes and says that some of these are goons. Special forces, police should come and say they did not belong to the system, because this is all jealous justice, law and order sector. Afande Chris Magezi comes and says, you guys are complaining about Chiboko and Inkoni. You're hypocrites because there's corporal punishments and people beat. Okay, you want batons, we will bring batons instead of defending. You had Afande Kituma saying that they are provoked. You had the police chief saying that it's just one candidate who is a problem and not following rules and is just provoking police. We can go on and on.
That was who?
That was the police chief, the IGP.
Yes.
You had, I'm just going through the statements. You had the Electoral Commission, which had a meeting with these candidates. It has received, because NUP, I saw in an interview that was done by Nation Media, or the National Treasurer for the NUP, Benjamin Katana, who was saying that we have written several times to the Electoral Commission about these issues. We have met once, but they've never officially responded. The first time the Electoral Commission is issuing a statement, it's saying that we've seen the violence and it's uncalled for in an election. We are calling on police to investigate. It does not condemn, it does not give a verdict. The last statement is from the Human Rights Commission, where Wagadia is basically saying that the violence that is visited on the NUP candidate and supporters is illegal and it's uncalled for. We have a series of statements and a system, because all we are talking about is a system that should be like quality control when these things arise. But what is quality control sometimes joins the what? It joins the oppressor.
Yes.
Instead of condemning some of these things, it's as if it's assisting. So that's where I want you to weigh in on those statements and what the security is saying in light of what is happening.
Well, I think that, to be honest, the police let me start with police.
Yes,
we'll go in a certain kind of order. The police statements are not new. They have been going around. There's nothing new that Chituma has said apart from saying they are going to investigate. But you see, Harold, honestly speaking, you see, there is a level, and you see, this is the kind of thing that for me sometimes disturbs me, is that these people reach a point where they think that maybe these guys are like goats, or we're like, even, and that's why I used to like Enanga. People used to think, but there was a certain level of humor and a certain level of, that he would bring out his lies with. And
I actually found his art annoying. For me, it was annoying.
Yes, it might have annoyed you, but honestly speaking, you cannot say from what we have seen that you don't. That first of all, from the minister, that these are goons. Goons are working alongside police that are supposed to be custodians of the law.
They have been seen in another city working with the police.
They're supposed to be keeping law and order, are walking around, facilitating, protecting, keeping company with even some of the goons that they are saying. People in plain clothes with
the handkerchiefs as masks.
With masks are the ones directing and saying, no, go and beat there, no, this is excessive, stop.
When they chase them, they hide behind
the police. Who is going to believe what you're saying? You're dishonest. And you're being dishonest in a very blunt, not even blunt, in a very disrespectful manner. You think that we are gods? We are able to see that, and the country is able to see that. So when you come out with a statement, and sometimes when I speak about this, some people say, I think as you speak on their podcast, you're so angry. I'm not angry. I'm just saying.
It's obvious. It's a basic.
No, even when you come out to defend the indefensible, try to have some honor. Try to think that you're speaking to people who are, upright thinking. You're not speaking to children of 2-3 years were not born yesterday. You see that kind of thing. So it's unfair, but also you're failing to take responsibility. These are people. Why are they with your police? Since the brutality started, dogs, police, death in Kawempe, so many people.
Death in Mityana.
Death in Mityana, now in Gulu. Which
no,
officer?
Not Mityana, Kayunga. Beg your pardon.
Which officer of the law has been brought to and say this person, we have identified them that they were part of the brigade that was in Kayunga. They used excessive force. Which commander has been said that they gave unlawful orders for police to fire tear gas, and who has been brought to book? Which goon? That the minister said these are goons working. We don't know them. They are vigilantes on the village who genuinely don't want a political candidate. Who has been arrested and said this group of goons was arrested in Gulu. They were masquerading as NRM candidates. They were disturbing the rally of a presidential candidate, a legitimate rally of a presidential candidate. They are here. Actions must speak louder than words, especially if the words are empty.
It's a view. It's a genuine view, and you understand people who are saying that we get police in the news protecting the seat of the government more than it is preventing crime, because the crime report every year is as opposed to now when they get to the news and they are protecting law and order on borderline politics of the Public Order Management Act, of controlling or enforcing electoral regulations. Like that's where you see their finesse and art.
There was a joke recently. I don't know what happened. Is it an accident on one of those roads? And someone said an ambulance, police ambulance, fire brigade will take 2 hours before reaching here. But tell them that Chagulanyi is gathering.
Yes, that there's an NUP mobilizer
is gathering.
They will be there immediately. And it creates impressions.
But also this narrative is tired. And I'm sure that all clear thinking Ugandans have seen it, that it is NUP that causes trouble. So the responsibility is not on the police. It's NUP that provoke. And you hear it from the EC.
Defend, yes.
You hear it from the police. You hear it from the military. You hear it from political leaders that guys, stop provoking the police. What provocation did Honorable Chagulanyi do in Fort Portal to say, my rally is 10 minutes? He even gave them options. He said, number one, allow me to go alone. Let these people stay here. Let me meet the people on the ground. They refused. He said, okay, you're police. Drive me there. If you think that my going is going to cause trouble, let these people stay here. Escort me. Let me sit in your car. You drive me to the rally. So that we don't cause
anything. Even by your own standards.
By your own standards. He lowered himself to say, by your own standards, take me. They said, no, you will not go. So what do you want people to do? How do you want...
Nicholas, what should NUP do?
Arod, you want me to give my views? Okay.
If you are the principal, what would you do in the circumstances?
I am the principal.
And for the remaining period, because you have now less than around 30-something days.
If I am the principal of NUP, I said here before how everything...
As a strategist.
Everything that is happening on the campaign, has a brick that it is adding to the new Uganda that he's looking forward to. You see? Otherwise, he would never have thought that the people now...
Their faces we are blacklisting, their systems we are bookmarking.
Deeper than that, the people in Toro and Gulu who genuinely wanted to listen to their candidate now understand that there is a reason why they don't want their candidate to speak to them.
And that's a statement in itself.
And the people they beat, you are radicalizing this, and I don't know where these orders come from and people are unable to see it. You're making these people radicals. You're beating them, you're killing their sons, you're spraying tear gas to them, you're denying them their constitutional rights. These people are going to turn into outlaws, and these are the last people that you need. But if I was the principal, I would continue to do what I am supposed to do. Show up for every rally, sit down right now with the Electoral Commission, map, and say, we have mapped here. Let everyone take you through a route of 50 kilometers, accept it, because you can always wake up early and just drive there. But sit down, map every place that is remaining.
Now you are bending.
Yes, Auntie, you have to, you map. You say, if I am going to go to to come Mboga grounds to speak to the people of Kawempe of Nakawa. I think that's Kawempe
for
South. Yes,
for here.
I think
yes,
that's Kawempe South. I am going to pass through, instead of passing through Sibichibichi.
Actually, it's Nakawa West.
Shomamboga is Kawempe.
Oh, really?
Yes. I think Nakawa West starts from Chanja. What am I going to do? They say now you're going to pass by Kulambiro, you go to Kungu, you go to Vuwate, you go to Gayaza Road, yes. You come from Kumbuzi. You say, okay, sir. So that at that level, there is someone should take accountability. If police that you sat down with EC disrupts you from going through that route, you see that kind of thing. That is the kind of thing that I would do.
No,
but also,
that is an assumption that you
showing up every day, showing Ugandans and the entire community, international community, that you see the odds that are stacked against us are these. I think that in and of itself is going to one day be relevant when these people they are beating, they are persecuting, they are disenfranchising, stand up and say, guys, enough is enough.
Me, I think because why I don't agree with you, Nicholas, is the embodiment of the word protest vote. Because when you're doing a protest vote, you cannot bend to the whims of the system you're protesting in the exact, because if the law says, because you would say obey the law, which is actually what I think candidate Chaglani has been pushing. Don't be violent, we are not violent people, but there is no law against such things, so we shall do, even when the system is frustrating. Because if you sit down with the Electoral Commission and the police to say map out a route for me, you're giving them powers that are not warranted by any law whatsoever. Because if you remember the conversation,
I thought EC is the one that is supposed to do those
you can't
maps.
talk about, no, it talks about area of campaigns for a day. Full stop. If you remember, there's a very famous conversation. I liked that journalist for, was it BBS? Very thorough. He prepared for an interview with Magezi, with Afande Magezi. And he says, this is the Public Order Management Act. This is the Parliamentary Elections Act. Show me any law that you are basing on as the police to do whatever you're doing. And the man did not have an answer because there's no such law.
Yes.
So if you're sitting down to enable a system that is frustrating you, you are not doing a protest vote, the tag that you have sold to the people. The people will want to trust you because you are challenging a system and you're sticking to the law, regardless of what the people who are doing extra judicial decisions are pushing for. NUP should not sit down with the EC or the police for the remaining days, because it's going to get even more intense as we come to the end. If you remember when we were talking about the first two podcasts, when the campaign had started, who was saying quiet election, the statements in the news with the Minister of Constitutional Affairs, the police, is going to be the quietest election. It's because there was nothing to challenge until they started to try to bend the law.
Actually, you make a good point, Harold, because I think sometimes when you give a lot away, when you bend a little bit, and this is not just in anything, it's in life. You know, when you allow your boss to call you at 5 and say, well, can you push in an extra hour and just do this? You're like, it's 5 to 6. Next time they will ask for 5 to 8. Yeah. Next time they'll keep calling. On
25th during lunch, they will say there's an emergency document.
So everyone keeps, because you keep, bending.
Giving. And it's very dangerous for the democracy that we are trying to build.
I understand your point, honestly, that let the protest vote
let everything represent the protest vote.
A protest.
And don't edit the script that you promised the people who are behind
you. What I had wanted is that there is absolutely no excuse. He gives these people absolutely no excuse to stop him from going where he should go. So that when they do stop him, like in Gulu and Fort Portal that we have seen, it is clear. These are security forces vis-a-vis Ugandan.
That's a thing.
Vis-a-vis Ugandan.
It's a revelation that has no results.
And this is how, because you see, this is propaganda. This is what the Honorable Chagulanyi now should coin a message that starts to tell Ugandans that, you see, this is your will being sabotaged by who? Security forces. So we cannot rely on the constitution.
It's my last one on this point. Yes.
These people. We cannot rely on anything. It's just blatantly security forces vis-a-vis the will of the people.
I don't think on the morning of the 15th Jan, someone would vote Bobi Wine because he has been frustrated by the police. That's my point. And where I'm driving to is you can only push that agenda if you're driving to maybe strategies like boycott as option 1, or 2, using the voices and the masses of the people to reject an election result. Because if you're saying that I've been frustrated by the police, that's why I'm not campaigning, you look at the people. Bobi Wine has done that. Besigye did that. In the end, the result will go there. You know the script. They will switch off the internet, Nicholas. Tomorrow when they announce the results, okay, they will do house arrest for the leading opposition candidate, or even the second option, not to leave their home until the swearing in is done.
You know, so there are some things
there's no result in that strategy.
There's some things that I cannot say. I have tried to restrain myself from saying on the podcast, but that's exactly what I was actually saying. I was actually not saying this in relation to, therefore, having been stopped from going to rallies, and I mean, even the blind can say that if someone is stopping you from going to the rallies just to talk to the people, which might be of less consequence to the real voting. How about the real voting? How about the counting of the election? If the EC is playing, honestly speaking, the EC has not come out. Okay, I saw a few statements lightly saying, let's take accountability, let's people, but you can say that they are coming from a place that is powerless. They are powerless.
I'm afraid we have to switch, Nicholas.
Just before. So on this point also, Fande Magezi, honestly speaking, that kind of arrogance. Yeah. And you see, when we speak about these things, people say now we have attacked. But there is a more civil way to tell people.
These are public officers.
And that's why the military should keep in their barracks, because at least the police can find a way around the people. But if you come and say, box, but even at home you beat, you're justifying why you're beating people for no reason.
His ex-post today had a picture of a baton. They say, you want a baton? Let's bring baton.
Honestly speaking, that kind of arrogance, Harold, we are grinding towards.
We have seen these things before and seen how people have ended.
Halt. And like I tell people, and sometimes I don't find a better way to say it except I say it in the local language. Ugamba kabi tuwaba karesiri.
Whoever announces the messenger.
Whoever announces the trouble is not the originator of the trouble. Matter of fact, you're supposed to go to that person and say, are you able to see this kind of trouble? How should we be able to circumvent it? But what we have is now people saying, now Nicholas, you talked about this. No, I am just saying that whether I say it or not, if the things continue to go the way they are going, we are going to end up in the way that we are going to end up, whether someone says it or does not say it.
Thank you, Nicholas. I will still emphasize that anyone would be delusional to think that change will come by the system is.
Yes.
And there's need to go outside the system for us to change the system as Ugandans, and we hope for the best, or we hope that the people who are running the system at one point will see the need and put country before self or the appointing authority. The second story, or third actually, because we combined 1 and 2, is with the EC rulings, Nicholas.
Yes.
We had 3 major rulings. We had people tying themselves on the gate of UNEP, a gentleman who was versing now, Bright Rwamirama. But most importantly, we had an issue and a ruling that has since deleted the candidature and denominated Mathias Walukaga for Busiro, and giving a chance, of course, to Akalia Magwa, your friend. And also there's another gentleman, of course, that was nominated. It's not like Medat Segona is unopposed now.
Yeah, there's an NRM gentleman.
There's an NRM gentleman and an independent.
Yes, Magora,
yes.
No pleading.
Who's no pleading among the people who had contested for the party card. Yes, the party ticket. The bigger discussion has been on, as we covered on our previous episode, the unfairness or the fairness. And I will not go into the details of whether Walukaga, maybe you can do that a little bit, whether Walukaga was fairly dismissed or not, because that's a legal interpretation.
I think that's legal. Maybe you are the one who can.
I can try to break it down to say that it was more of an issue of equivalency. Walukaga was a current student at a certain university. Actually, not IU. Yes, it's a different university.
A certain university.
Yes, it's a different university. Used a certificate of
mature
equivalence or mature entry from IU because the universities have powers to administer. Now, that certificate that was used as proof of an equivalent of UEDCL was used for Walukaga to get admitted in university. They are saying that by the time he used that certificate to go and get a certificate of equivalence from the National Council of Higher Education, it had since expired. The argument is, of course, that it cannot expire. It's one of the issues that we're discussing about, to say that if a constitution in Article 80 says that you must have UEDCL or its equivalent, what is now embedded in the second bit of equivalence? We have to discuss the issue of Rwashande. Rwashande presented diplomas for military training here and
2-week courses, 3-day courses. Anything
that is not Mujiji, and he presented to say...
But that is the Mujiji, but of the army.
Of the army. Yes. Maybe it's a discussion that we can have. If the Parliamentary Elections Act in Section 4 and 13 discusses that it's the role of EC to verify. EC verified at the point of nomination. It passed and said you have passed on this thing. The only issue in the letter that we were talking about is that the IU letter contains like 4 issues that we can discuss. One, the pass mark.
Yes.
He had the pass mark of 54%. It confirms that that the mature age certificate expires after 2 years if the candidate has not used it to enroll. Matthias Walukaga enrolled within the 2 years. So you cannot fault him on that. The only issue,
meaning it's valid.
As per the letter, when we're just reading the document, we can talk about the other laws because there are decisions that are saying that a university cannot alter the position of the law by just a mere letter. That certificate is not valid as far as what amounts to an academic document is concerned. And by the time it was submitted, indeed it had expired. When EC was giving that, and it's also to say that it proves, there's proof that he has since enrolled for university. We can discuss that and the decisions that have been decided. There's a decision of John Kazora versus Electoral Commission on who has the power to verify an academic document, and it says that the university maybe can or cannot. It's just the AC that has the final say on issues, and EC has come out to say not. For Rwashande, they have said we have verified these documents and they are equivalent to UEDCL. For Jacqueline Mbabazi, they deleted, I forget that old gentleman's name. When I remember, I'll just say the name, the one who was disqualified. On the question of numbers, that he did not have enough quorum to back him up, and they deleted him. The bigger picture of what is not in the news is the discussion that for someone to win a parliamentary election, in Uganda, you need between 700 million and 1.5 billion. We have discussed that, and there was research on that point. You can watch our previous episodes on that if you're hearing it for the first time. So for some people were claiming, and of course, NUP has come out to that stand to say that they would approach some of the people who nominated them to say, Nicholas, inquire turn. Because if Nicholas, who seconded me, goes and says I did not, I give him 50 million. Some people are claiming that EC officials are also taking some illicit funding to delete and hack the system. It would make more sense to a candidate, instead of spending 700 million, to spend 300 million in that system and avoid going door to door and the confusion and etc. And the bigger discussion on this is the disenfranchisement, that for some of these places that had only 2 candidates, one is disqualified, people have a choice of 1, and it's easier for someone to get 50 plus 1. And it's to take away a bigger picture of the freedom of expression, to take away the bigger picture of the rights that are political leaning. So I don't know what you read into these rulings, in fairness, and I know you personally are waiting for how the complaint by Jet Mbabazi, Mbabazi filed through Kampala Associated Advocates, looking for verification from UNEB to EC as against Sodo Kaguta. the brother to the president, is going to go? Please.
Thank you, Harold. One, I want to start by encouraging the youth that are watching us. I've seen we have quite some audience from the UAE, even the local audience, that, like the saying goes, because you see the future is big. Sometimes we may think the future is narrow, life is short.
You remind me of the picture that has been making round about there's a picture of AAA and the Prime Minister in 2009. They're saying if you're about giving up about the future, this was your Prime Minister and Speaker in 2009, and the pictures look the way.
Yes. So if you have a chance at education, especially in our kind of age and the ones that are a little bit younger than us, I think you should take it, because the future can have so many unexpected turns. I don't think that in 2010, Honorable Walukaga,
saw himself as Walukaga, because as a mayor, he's a mayor,
would have seen himself that he would contend for a member of parliament.
We have a perfect example in Mawogola, actually Mawokota, where Honorable Hilderman composed a campaign song for Honorable Amelia Chambade, not knowing that at one point he would come to take his seat. I don't think Joel Senyonyi saw himself as the leader of opposition, where he is right now.
So if you have a chance to add on an education, get a certification, and this is not just in the political line. Tomorrow it's something...
It's life.
Yes. Tomorrow someone is going to... Life is going to wind up, even at your workplace, and you find that you need maybe an extra certification, something like that. I think that it is imperative that you try to do that, so that these opportunities, when they come,
they find a prepared man.
Sometimes, I mean, these people, they have worked in a place, they have experience, they are the most experienced, and everyone can even say that this person, nobody would execute this role better than this person. They have worked here for years, but because they just lack something, then you just remain at a level that the one you are teaching, the ones above you who pay you a salary, but because you've done everything, but you just failed
paper.
So this just was something I thought about as you are deliberating, that as young people, let's endeavor. It's never too late. If Walukaga is almost, I think must be in his 50s, but he's now studying. Rwashande is retired. I think he has eaten his NSSF money. He was getting a master's degree, after which he got his bachelor's. So I think that study and do things in their time. I think our pastor is the one who keeps telling us, do things in their time. Otherwise, when they get out of time, it becomes a little bit stressful.
Yeah, true.
That being said, I think that we have reached a level, Harold, of and you see, I say this with a heaviness of heart, that I don't think that the NUP or these candidates are going to get redress from even other places. What would other places be? The High Court, like the NUP has filed. We've reached a level where these organs, first of all, have been infiltrated to a level, before even talking about infiltration, have reached a level where they are blatantly, pro. Because you can, like I told you, once is a coincidence, twice is a pattern.
It's a pattern.
Thrice becomes a system, tradition. It's a system, which people have been left, have been, you have from the stories of AAA, from the stories of
Honorable
Nyamutoro,
Bright
Ramirama. There was an attempt from Mitiana that never, Cassandra that never materialized. I don't know if it was because of too much pressure or anything, but I mean, these people
let it pass.
No, but they could. I mean, places are full of surprises. I don't know when they will close that docket of but now I don't know if there's an opposition candidate who is
very safe. There was also an attempt on Nakawa West where the leader of opposition comes.
And that one is now in court. It's an attempt on Nakawa West. But we see all these decisions are going towards one direction. And the question is really, are the people that have documents, that have certifications, that have, everything correct, belonging to one party? That's why I'm anxious to see. The reason I'm anxious to see the one of Jet Mbabazi and Sodo is not because because I have a special interest in Sodo Kaguta. No, I just want to see if the system will be able to self-regulate and say that, okay, we have
a standard and we are going to follow
and this is to both UNEB and the EC. Because UNEB, honestly speaking...
So you think we have a lady justice that has one eye that is seeing below the bandage as they adjudicate?
Yeah. So that's why where my interest in that case is not because I am pro Jet or pro Sodo. They all belong to the same party. I've not had Jet apart from liking him because of his late father's heroics. I've not really had him on the political scene. I've just known him as an advocate. Sodo is just a random guy with a Kaguta name. With a Kaguta name. So I don't mind. I don't care about both of them. But I just want to see, will the precedents that has been set by the EC and UNEB be followed in that case that involves these kinds of people? You know. So I feel like we have not achieved that, and the confidence of Ugandans towards these government entities
in the system
has deteriorated. That right now there is nobody who is safe, who can say until they see the name on the ballot. I don't know. You're the legal brain. I don't know when does this window of petitions close. That is when most candidates are going to be safe, because apart from that, something can come up. The hearings are not, brought up. The rulings are very, very debatable. The court cases are made to tarry along and not come out before,
It's very hard to even get an injunction to stop an election that is set for, or printing of ballots.
But bluntly, honestly speaking, Harold, I don't know about Walukaga and whatever and Jacqueline Mbabazi, but the gentleman from who was standing with Bright
in his Sinjira,
yes. Honestly speaking, the guy even came with his head teacher and said,
he was one of the witnesses.
And he was at UNEB saying, I need my results, my certificates. Come on, this is blatant. At least find another. Okay, you can say,
let him compete.
At least he could have paid his nominators to say that that's not my signature. But someone that has gone to school, that has their legal document, and you say, yes, I see the certificates, but I don't recognize them. Honestly speaking, that is so overt. And from my speech tonight and other places, you have heard that. You see, when there is a semblance of something, but it's just a semblance, there is a semblance of order. When you come, the story is told, and I don't know, because we can only hear these things from propagandists, that when you go to North Korea, when you look at from the streets, you see happy people that they get, these fruits that are plastic, and place them along, inside.
Someone even made a movie out of it.
So when you look at them, these people have food, these people are happy people, but they are putting up, apparently, because it's only you're going to hear this from Western propagandists, that the picture is different. These things are actually plastic, but that is different from when you come out hands down. And when you come out, you see, the problem is that these systems are unable to reset. For me, that is my fear. And I don't know if people who listen to me can sense my fear, that the things that I speak, I don't speak them out of excitement, out of, I want to condemn, I am angry. No, I speak them out of saying that, guys, there is a place that we are going to that we should otherwise not be going to. Because when the system reaches this place, people don't have trust in the EC. People don't have trust in UNEB. UNEB was supposed to be a very neutral organization. Just say this guy's certificate, we know he studied here. That is it. Let EC do its thing. As UNEB, what is your case? You understand that kind of thing? But when we come to this level of this cadreship, like I talked about sometime, where everyone wants to be a cadre.
That's true.
Everyone wants to show that they are working. Everyone wants to show that they are putting the best foot forward for the regime or the party or something. I think we are winding down to a very dangerous road. And I keep saying it here. And good enough, these things are recorded for posterity. And we shall be here when this thing erupts. And we are saying, you see, you don't understand that in the grand scheme of someone who cannot see,
you can't light a fire under your cloak and you expect it not to burn.
In the grand scheme of things, you may think that it's a very simple thing. UNEB has dismissed a guy. We don't even know his name. You see, even here on the podcast, we don't remember the guy's name. We just know he's standing against Bright Ramiram. But you don't know how that precedence, that small thing that you say is insignificant. Yeah? You order Nicholas Achiremedeko, you think he's a dog with a bone in his mouth. He's just, it's going to build up to something, because this guy has his supporters back there in Risinjiro. You don't know how they choose to enfranchise themselves when they feel that they are not being listened to. They're being differentiated.
Talking about that very thing, there's a thing about anniversaries, and in comparison with today's date, I think a few days ago, but in 1980, because the election results of December 10th, 1980 is what led to the Bush War.
Yes.
And they were on the 10th of December, close to what, and the season that we are in. If you look at those percentages for that election, the QPC had 47.1. DP had 46.
The UPC had 47.
Yes.
0.8%. The DP had 46.9%.
Yes.
The difference was 0.9%.
0.9%.
Yeah.
But the biggest determinant of that election is that it gave rise to Museveni.
Yes.
Who had 0.47% in that election.
Yes. Even actually Museveni was
even a conservative party
of Mayanja and Kanji
defeated. Yes, it had bigger results than Museveni.
Yes.
But the results in their unfairness made the man we are discussing today.
Yes.
It's never about the individuals, but what it represents and the repercussions that can come out of a dead system.
And Harold, now that you've said that, we can draw some parallels. You see, the UPC
at the time
under Obote won 0.9% after massive rigging by the would-be Paulo Muwanga, vice president to Obote. Rig, disenfranchise, do all things, and the difference is just 0.9%.
Yes.
So this is blatant that the DP had actually won massively. The DP had massively both the popular vote and the numbers in parliament. And the numbers in parliament. If that election was untouched, you see, but the stealing of the people's voice is what makes Museveni successful in rural. I've said it here many times. I don't think I'll repeat that story. I've said it here many times. That is what makes the Baganda very angry. Of course, the Baganda now are DP leaning. That's very angry. That's how they support
the NRA.
The NRA. And I told you on this platform why the NRA war, the war had to be in Ruwero, not Bushenyi, not
anywhere.
Masaka, not anywhere.
The angry people were here.
Yes, they were right here. They were right here. So I think that we are setting very dangerous precedents. But when that time comes, see the way people talk about Paul Muwanga, the people talk about Paul Muwanga. I hope Biabakamba is watching. I hope the people at the UNEB are watching. I hope the people in courts that these election petitions go to and they dismiss them and they do this and they do that are watching. I hope the police chiefs and spokespeople are watching.
I think they know. I hope
the security forces who are campaigning who are married now to politics are watching. If something ever happens to this country, it is because you have let it happen. Not even have let it happen, have facilitated. It's happening. And I will say this again, because people may say, Nicholas, what are you saying? The person who says the truth senses the trouble and says it is not the...
It's not the originator.
It's not the originator. So I'm not trying to originate anything. I'm just trying to sound a trumpet and say, guys.
Let's talk about another Akabi, which for me it's very dangerous for our national setting. And it's our second last story about the tribal murmurings. We've had very many undertones of that, knowing that it's highly a tribal nation with over 52, I think, tribes. You can even go up to 73 if you split further. But we have had voices of power, Nicholas. We have had community leaders. We have had religious and cultural leaders bring out a speech that is putting fuel in a low-burning flame of tribalism, which is a dangerous path.
Very.
I don't want to quote, because I can quote very many people, but there's a speech I had from, and unfortunately from General Kahinda, where he was talking about, it was a celebration that was involving General Kayanja, where he was actually blaming the Baganda to say that they killed an animal, from what we were talking about, and served a very beautiful meal to another person.
That was kind of saying?
Yes.
Wow.
He's been controversial since some time back, and we know why, but that's under the table discussion. But he has said some things. I remember vividly that when they were celebrating, the Uganda Law Society had an event where he was invited to speak, and there was the Attorney General. He spoke the truth to power.
Yes.
Over and over, hitting. And he says, one of the famous statements he said was, whatever you're doing, just to know people are watching and it will come back to haunt you. And he says, of course, me in my position, what I know, you don't know. But what you know, I also know. He's been saying a lot of things. Some people suspecting that it's in the wake of the arrest of his brother, who I think after the release of the Kenyan...
No, I think
it's big, and he's been really speaking things that are truth to power, that no one might say and get away with if you're not General Kahinda or something. But this and very many people have started a discussion, especially in the wake of the election period that the country is in, that might lead us to dangerous places and live a tattered society. I thought you would comment on that.
This is very sensitive because you see, the problem with tribal undertones is that whereas it might be true, whereas it might be true that some Baganda are supporting the NRA, when Obote starts to retaliate, he's going to also take up. It's not going to be some Baganda in Ruwero. No, when the retaliation starts,
a whole sect.
When the retaliation starts, it's scorched earth policy. It's everyone. It's now no longer
some people.
It's now no longer some people and everything. This one we saw it happening, Harold, in 94, just down here in Rwanda.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, because at this level, it's no longer Samba Tutsi. Samba Hutu. No, this is the Tutsi.
Everyone here is a cockroach.
Every Tutsi is a grat, is a cockroach, is this. And when the retaliation comes, children were being killed, women were being killed, villagers were being killed. People who have absolutely even the people who had never understood, but the fact that
never had a part to play in whatever was happening.
PRA, PRA, the Rwandese outfit that now metamorphosed into the Kagame government, because it was majority Tutsi. Every Tutsi was guilty by tribe, not even by association. You see that kind of thing. So it's very dangerous. But let's discuss it in the perspective of this election and the undertones. And the reason why I was telling you that the one way I want to discuss it, I saw recently someone talking about it online. And you don't even want to talk about it because you don't want to arouse that this sentiment actually is underneath there. But then again, it's becoming overt. You have nothing to do, So the conversation has begun that the faces that have been seen constantly in command, of the security forces that keep persecuting the people at these rallies
for a certain
come from a certain region, have certain names, are of a certain ethnicity. See that kind of thing?
The ethnicity of the commanders and the one of the executors, it's different.
So someone asks you, head of police, the army, the EC, you see that kind of thing? But deeper than that, that is at strategy. That one has never been a problem, I think, in Uganda, that the heads, because they have always been even prisons. That one has never been part of that's part of the conversation about, but what has brought this immediate tribal undertones is the faces that people are seeing and profiling that have stopped people in Prisibwera, that are beating people even in Gulu, that are beating people in Fort Porto, that are tear-gassing people in Kawempe and doing injustices in Kayunga. Even here in Nakawa, some big bomb. You saw that big bombed man who,
I saw the internet calling him ladies and gentlemen.
Yes,
which is unfortunate.
Yes.
But,
people are starting to draw a pattern. You see, it's starting to match and say, but this person is this. This is this. This is Nwamanya. This is Turije. This is Agaba. This is Muzora. You see that kind of thing? But you see, this is not in relation to that they have a job, are they qualified or not. No, this is in relation that they are the faces
that are representing something that people are detesting.
Representing, yes, a detestable, inhumane, and it has even gone to unfortunate levels where people have been killed at the places where they seem to be seen commanding the rest of the security forces to beat, to maim, to kill. And I think that it is a very, very, very bad thing when Ugandans start to perceive that it is this tribe against the rest of Uganda. Which
is a very bad place any society
It's a very bad place. And I keep wondering, the commanders who are doing these things, honestly speaking, can't you see this? Are your eyes too blind? Oh, God has just covered your eyes that danger might happen to this country. I don't understand it. You know? And we have seen, like the example we've given in Rwanda, and from the neighboring countries, and even from our own history here, how tribal undertones can tear down a country, can tear down a regime.
That's true. And tatter our society not to recover.
Now let me tell you a story. We're talking about December 10th. The general election happens in 1980. Obote assumes power. But Obote suffers from one thing during his Obote II regime, mostly. The tribal undertones, especially in public service and in the army.
Sure.
So the army is dominated by two tribes, mostly. The Langi,
and
who are his people, and the Acholi.
The Acholi, yes.
Yeah? Now, the Langi are led by the very able Major General David Oyite Ojok. Who is the army chief of staff at this point, and the army commander is Okello Kedo, the gentleman who becomes president.
Later becomes
president. Now, on December 1st, talking about Decembers, I think the most unfortunate thing to Obote happens. You know, Oyite Ojok dies in a helicopter crash in somewhere. I think in on the way on now what is now Bombo Road as you go up north. When Oyite Ojok dies, of course, we can debate about how
what
he died.
Happened, what really
the NRA
happened.
Said we shot him down.
And the story was a helicopter malfunction.
Yes,
from the government.
The government says the helicopter malfunctioned. But even some people in government say, because shortly before that, they had actually had a public... Obote had a public dispute with Oyite Ojok, because Oyite Ojok at that moment had taken over coffee marketing board here in Bugolobi, had taken over the export, was smuggling coffee out of Uganda, was enriched, was making a
substantial amount of wealth.
Yes, and creating like an empire for himself. Sure. And considering his heroics in the war, because Oyite Ojok was not just a guy that had been promoted, he was a very effective. Actually, up until 1983, end of 1983, he had effectively defeated the NRA. But you see, history, that's the funny thing about history, because Napoleon said history is a pack of lies that people agree upon. Because history is told, especially in these matters of life
whoever
and death,
tells it, yes.
Victory and defeat is told by the victor, because the defeated, you're not there to tell history. Nobody would even believe you. You may not understand how...
No one cares about your perspective.
Yes, you may not understand how Oyite Ojok had defeated Museveni and Kayira, UFM here, who was operating in areas of Greater Kampala, Rwashande, and Wakiso.
Just the central region.
Effectively, he had neutralized them. He had pushed them out. The NRA has started to push out to open up a second front. They will not tell you the reasons, because listen, when you win, when you read this history, you don't be like a child who was born yesterday. We're not born yesterday. You can tell us that you're going to open up a second front in Fort Porto under the one they gave to Rijema later. But understand that. Ask yourself why they are getting away from what they had called power. The Ruero Triangle, and what they had called there's a term they used to call it. They had called it the liberated zone.
Yes.
They had moved out of so how do you liberate people when you have moved out of the liberated zone? And people are here to correct us, so David Oito Ojok was a very effective officer, and his role in both attacks, because he came in 72 when they were defeated in Mbarara Simba Battalion,
yes,
and he came later also in 79 commanding the Chikos Malum, the one that Chikos actually was the commander of Chikos Malum alongside the Tanzanian Wakombozi, and then Museveni's
now in
Fronasa.
Fronasa at the time.
So when he dies, Obote, because
Obote has no option of replacement.
Yes,
and he's also trying to get away from the issue of I don't want to create another demon that will keep me looking on my shoulders.
So the story about his death, I just went there about the story of his death, is that so people now don't know, because Obote might have, from their mean experience, says, but this man is becoming very powerful, so he might have had a hand. But we'll never know. The dead men tell no tales.
Tell no tales, indeed.
We'll never know. But anyway, all the same, whatever caused his death, he happened to die in Nakasongo, I think. Yeah. So when his helicopter crashes and he's no more, Obote is at crossroads. What should I do? The two most senior officers, the army commander is Okero, the gentleman who becomes
the president
later. And one of the most senior commanders is Brigadier Basilio Olara Okero. Yeah. Now, when this gentleman, who was then thinking, and his sect were thinking this guy is now going to become the army chief of staff, but Obote could not make the army commander Acholi, and the chief of staff still Acholi. He would have become naked because he was being protected by the elite, the elite special forces. And I don't know why you have seen this again, that the elite special forces around Obote, the Marine Corps, were all Langi. Most of them were Langi. The elite special forces. You might have seen this pattern somewhere else. But the foot soldiers, actually, one of the reasons, the foot soldiers in Ruwero who are dying on the battlefield
were actually from another tribe.
Were Acholi. You know, then the elite people who are in Kampala hotels planning the war, what doing businesses Langi. Like Oito Ojok was doing, most of them were Langi. That's why there was a rumor that they actually forces wanted to talk to Museveni, and that's why when eventually they took over, they thought, and this guy is unmanned. You think Museveni cannot talk to you when he despises you, but they didn't know that. They didn't know the man. Maybe we have all been big victims of the man, you know. So what happens after that? What happens is, instead of appointing this person who was now a senior officer, but he was unlearned, he was unstudied, he had fought in the King's African Rifles, he had been decommissioned
he just knew the ground and the battlefield.
He had been commissioned again to fight in Congo. Then he was brought back again. Then he went to Tanzania. Then he came with these people. So he was a senior officer in military terms, but he didn't have an education. What Obote does is that he appoints a young man who had an education and was a good fighter, was a good military strategist and fighter, who was called Smith Aponachak. Now, Smith Aponachak was definitely Langi. Yeah? So the Acholi officers start to get problems from there to say, how Obote is favoring Langis. And this man becomes very, very humiliated, you know? Secondly, in Ruwero, when this gentleman dies, a guy called Kano Ogore is put there is now the one pursuing those of Museveni relentlessly. Caused a lot of trouble, by the way, Kano Ogore, for the Museveni's post, Oito Ojok. But by then, because of the dampening in morale of Obote personally, then the fractions
and then the fractions within the Acholi and the Langi.
And the Langis and the National Army, the fissures, the Musevenis were able to capitalize on that to really.
And they were also not fighting one war against Museveni, because Kaira was also active
Kaira, UFM, and so many other things
that were happening
all over the country. I mean, these people
and
also,
even up,
you know. So what happens is that one day a story is told that Kano Ogore left to come to the headquarters here in Kampala. Ogore was definitely Langi. When he leaves to come to Kampala, there's a gentleman who was his deputy, Lieutenant Colonel Chilamu, I think. Now, Chilamu, at here in Ruwero, Katikamu, he commands an extended line of soldiers to go and attack and kill every living thing. Even goats were being killed. So when
that's 80 what?
That is 84.
Okay.
I think that's 84. And this gentleman comes back from the headquarters of the army. He finds innocent people have been killed. This is not his military strategy. His strategy is, let's make these people
our friends.
Yes, our friends. Yes. Let them become, our people. Let them tell us where the rebels are. Let them be pro us. We cannot fight a war where we come to kill these people. These people will definitely defend the rebels. They will actually, even the young ones, the Kadogos, they ran away to join Museveni, not because they were going to fight, but because that is where they could get a ring of protection. So he writes to the chief of the army chief of staff, Smith, upon a check, that no, this man, I cannot work with him. So he is taken back where he was in Tororo and is where he was commanding officer. Now, the person who replaces him was called Eric Odo, who is
still
Langi.
Still Langi.
So that cements Obote's fate. So what happens after that? Everyone knows it. This man is taken back. He's taken back to Gulu. Basilio Okero is taken back to Gulu, where he commands his junior officers. One day just woke up and said, you know what, enough is enough. They just Obote was in the East campaigning because the following year was a general election. 86 was supposed to be a general election. They come all the way from Gulu hurriedly, come and announce on Radio Uganda that they had taken over, and didn't make an announcement. He arrived later in the night, and I don't know why history.
It was an ill-prepared.
It was ill-prepared.
Yes, it was.
And I don't know why history deletes him, but he was effectively the head of state because he was head of the military council from 27th to 29th July 1985. But history deletes him because on 29th, the commander took over. But now also, when he took over, because see, this tribal issue, Harold, if we start to weaponize it right now, it's going to be spiraling out of control. You would think that it stops over when they say, okay, and some people, and maybe, I don't know, sometimes I don't know if we should address these kinds of things here or will be misinterpreted. Some people think, Banyankore, but they don't know, even among Banyankore, there are further sects. Even among the Bahima, there are further sects. Yes. Even among the Bahima, was saying these ones are Bahinda, these ones are.
Where they come from? Yes.
These ones are the ones. These ones also see this. There's for us we are not Bahima, but we are not Bahima. Yes. For us we are Banyankore, but we are not Banyankore. Right?
You can go further and
you can go further and further. Now, when this
never helps the cause. When
these people take over, the Okeros take over. Basilio becomes army commander. Then the other Okero who?
There were two Okelos at the time. Yes.
The other Okero becomes president.
Yes, was the president.
Basilio becomes army commander. Now, when Basilio becomes army, when they take over, further, now among themselves, the Acholis, there were Acholis from Kitgum. There were Acholis from Gulu.
Yes.
Now, the Acholis of Kitgum accused the Acholis of Gulu of collaborating with Obote. And this Chilamu that I was telling you about, he was a lieutenant colonel, goes and arrests, there was a guy called Brigadier, what was his name? He goes and arrests him from Mbale. And this guy was an Achori from Guru. He goes and arrests him on suspicion that he's
aiding.
This guy is a lieutenant colonel. He has to become a colonel to become a brigadier. Two ranks above him. But because of now the power that the yield said, the guy is of Gulu. So when you keep spiraling this tribal thing out of control, we are in. And what is Museveni doing? All that the Musevenis have to do is to watch and wait. This thing actually the death of, we can argue two things. Fundamentally, that the death of David Oite Ojok, Major General, is the strand of luck. And you see, that's how life is. Sometimes you can hustle.
If he hadn't gone to the bush by that time, that death would be insignificant.
Someone can be there in a chair, kid, you struggle, but one deal, one day, something. This was a strand of luck. Museveni may deny it. He may say, I know we're powerful, I know we're fighters, no, we're going to win eventually.
But it was significant.
But the death of Oite Ojok, and further, The coup of 85 was done by very amateur people. That's why it took only 6 months. 6 months, and they were out of power from July to January.
And even what they were controlling during the 6 months and the fightings in,
that's why
it was very insignificant.
That's why when you plot the graph of the Ruero War, eyewitnesses are still around.
The activities between 84...
Between 80 and 84, 83, 84, before Ito Ojok dies, you can plot it and see how they were
and insignificant.
But what they managed to do between 84, and basically 80, because this was basically 1 year.
Yes, actually, yes. When you put in the 5 months.
Yes, is a lot of things that they were able to do to come and take over government. So they tell these guys, so let's have peace talks in Nairobi. Museveni, I don't know, these Okeros were so... I don't know the word to use, but Museveni will not talk to you. Museveni, first of all, despises you. You didn't go to school. He doesn't think that, even you know that I don't have a plan for this country. Just
if I get on a round table, I will be outwit.
This was an emotional decision to say, and I feel like the Okeros would have harmonized under Obote. But you see, this is a game of egos, and mistrust and suspicion, and at that level, any slight thing is death, because Obote can order this person to kill. Any slight mistake of too much trust or anything is death. But with Obote, they would have worked out a more long. The regime would have lasted a little bit longer.
That's true.
Than it is. But when they take him out, they don't have no popular support. The country.
They don't have the technical ability to run the nation.
They dissolve the parliament. They appoint a military council. They are all clueless people, but we are Okelos. We are Acholi.
From one sect, yes.
We shall manage. We are Acholi. No, you will not manage. You will not manage. So these words that we speak, Harold, in an allegory or in stories of many words, we are just simply saying, members,
that's not a
let us devolve. Let us demobilize ourselves from these tribal talks. Even the commanders who are saying these people to beat people at their rally, make sure they are not people that will spur these conversations and keep them alive to say, they are predominantly these people that are beating us, so that you don't pity the country that will become Uganda vis-a-vis one tribe.
Yes, that's true.
What happens is that, and then there are people who enjoy it. Have you seen, I was going to use words that we cannot allow to post, but have you seen dense people applauding that, now me, for us, our language is a national language? You are daft.
Actually, it's one of the, hey, you don't know this language.
If you're thinking like that, in this kind of Uganda, let me tell you, you don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. When tomorrow they say pronounce Mufariso here in Masakand, you cannot cross there. Don't pride in something that will break this nation. We need to build a homogeneous nation, and let that be among people who do not understand this. But if you're an elite and you don't know this language, it's a national language.
It's light, but it's deep.
And some people even take it to a place where they now feel the entitlement that they're entitled to things, because, come on, let me tell you, you're chattering towards a dangerous path.
Exactly. And maybe just discuss it in another angle as we close this, is how, even for the tribe that might represent power, as people will look at, for people to understand that there are people who might belong to that tribe, but have never gotten near power, reaped the benefits of the power, or had a part to play in the misery of things. And if you discuss and see things holistically, it's a danger, because the future that everyone wants and expects, it's leaving victims that were not part of the problem.
Yes.
And we just need to stop looking at things in a fragmented Uganda and look at the picture, Uganda and its future. That as we talk about the new Uganda, as we talk about the transition, as we talk about everything that will come, even post Museveni, that place, that time will find a nation called Uganda.
Because, Harold, how many Hutu do you think were in power or benefiting from power
by the time the
in
genocide,
Rwanda. By the time the genocide
92,
started.
93, 91.
How many people were just rural? They were just rural people. They were just, you know how the country can be. The country is big. It's not like
yes, it's not like a sub-county.
Yes. Even if it was a sub-county, all people would not be benefiting from, even if you say there's a sub-county program, not everyone is benefiting from that kind of thing. But what happens when the genocide happens and the RPA start to come through, everyone is now a refugee.
I get you.
They are being herded from places they have known as home for generations and centuries. They are going to Eastern Congo, where they are foreigners. They are going without anything. Just whatever you can carry on your hand, your child, you know.
And you leave everything.
Now that we still have chance to have what we call a Uganda. And like I've said, this is the third time I am saying it, that whoever says the trouble
is not the
one that is originating it or sparring it or putting fire in it. But first we are warning that, guys, let's continue to build a homogeneous nation. A nation that we are able to call home. And this is something that Museveni had done well and excellently, except that now we have reached a level of politicking that is, maybe the government has no sustenance anymore, other than having to take us back to the time when we started to identify that who is beating people? It's the Acholi. It's Obote's people. It's the land.
There's a thing that now makes people look at names.
Yes. And that's why the people should I say this here? Please, the persecution that these people were seen to meet, you know, and the reason why there is a certain name that they started to call them, the people from the north. Very despicable. But why? Because these people were seen in that kind of light.
Because of what they represented to at the time.
And that's why even the language of, because of the Wakombozi, even the language of Swahili, most people, Ugandans, when you speak Swahili, you look, they would look at you, the ones in our people's age, the ones our parents' age. When you speak Swahili, there's a way they just look at you because of the image they were composing. They were composing from Tanzania left, raping women, stealing things, disorganizing, you know, being the bosses because they have guns. They don't care. It's not their country. You see? So
I'm afraid we have to close it at that. But I hope the point is home. I hope the point is home. Let he that has ears take heed to what being said, because we represent the interests of Uganda, and we care about the future and what our children will find. The last story is the plight of utilities in Uganda.
Yes.
And it's a story of UEDCL and National Water. I saw a minister attack my brother and friend Raymond Mujuni when he was complaining about the blackouts. And saying that he needs to be fair to a company that has just inherited a problem. Now, for context for UEDCL is that after the 20 years run out for the Umeme concession, the government took over through UEDCL, of course, leaving the regulator as is and the distributor as is, and even the different schemes that we can talk about. The bigger picture of the discussion is that, as for the technical people who are running UEDCL, they are saying that when Umeme knew around 2022 that their contract was not going to be renewed, the maintenance dwindled. They were no longer maintaining the apparatus or whatever they were going to hand over, saying that's not our problem. It's a problem for the next coach. Even your friend Guardiola now is buying all the players. It's a problem for the next coach. And so by the time UEDCL came in, it found some of those issues, to say maintenance. Then there was a lot of vandalism. Folks, people were asking, but also Umeme was under the same security setting. How come you have more vandalism than what Umeme was going through? And it's an excuse. I think some people in Mukono didn't have power for over 1 or something or two weeks. It was very bad. It was also affecting the water supply. Now, the bigger issue is that the minister, Ruth Nankabirwa, Honorable, says that we need to do an investigation. There are rumors within the corridors of power that he wanted to privatize. She wanted to privatize some.
Bring in private investors
to give them some regions and on the role and the mandate of UEDCL. It also was going to affect some jobs of the top officials. The Prime Minister writes back and says, no, that's not going to happen. And there's no one who's going to be fired. There's no investigation that is going to go on. As of, I think, 10th December, the minister comes back and clarifies the position. She is saying that basically what is going on is a place of me taking over a sector that is under my docket. I'm not firing anyone. I'm saying that there's need for an investigation to happen. On the ground, Ugandans are still complaining about the outages. Ugandans are still complaining about the price of electricity units, and the bigger conversation of since UEDCL took over, Yaka units, light units, seem to be going faster than they were going in the previous times. Same plight for the national water. It's a problem that is recurrent. I don't know what's going on. Ugandans want to know what's going on.
Thank you. First, this podcast aims to clear the record, to make the record straight. You have lied in your submission that Guardiola is my friend. The man has caused me insufferable pain. And
I withdraw. I respectfully withdraw.
The issue of, I think National Water had tried to do well, to be consistent, to expand their reach, and Silver Magician, irrespective of so many things, I tried to do his best. I think National Water is being frustrated. They came out and said they were being frustrated because of the vandalism. What happened to you because these are codependents. They depend on power to pump the water and everything. That was the reason why some people have taken weeks.
But still, where I want to disagree, I don't think that we are. I'm sorry to disagree on this point. It's okay. But I don't think in 2025 we should be saying the achievements as posted by National Water as an achievement, because in context, its own report is that it reaches 18 million people. We are 45. It reaches 96 districts. When you look at the discussion to talk about districts, it's deceiving, because in a district where there are 4 people with National Water on the grid, you can say it's in that district.
You can't say.
But when you put it in light of the population, it's 18 million people, Nicholas.
Out of almost 50
people. That is not an achievement in 2025. It's a danger.
I think there you make a good point, that they should have done enough, should have done more, First, to satisfy. Because you see, if you aim to reach, and that is the trouble that I used to have with Umema, and you say we are exporting power when the Western Nile is not on the national grid, when there is load shedding still happening. So why are we exporting power when even our local consumption is not yet satisfied? You people on your immediate table at home are hungry, but you're giving aid and charity to the neighbors. I don't think that's how things should.
It's a sale, but anyway,
I think that because that's supposed to be treated as a surplus, we have saturated the local consumption, so now we have surplus. So let's export it. So I think the conversation on UEDCL, National Water, can expand. We can look at figures and numbers of how much, for example, they are getting in the national budget, how they have been expanding over the years, but their troubles seem to be a little bit recent. The immediate troubles of people not having power, not having water here in the Kampala metropolitan and the close places seem to be just immediate. And we shall take the excuse that it's because of the vandalism that has happened. Yeah. But for UEDCL has always been a problem child. Yeah. From the start of Umeme, you saw the deal of Umeme, very badly negotiated deal. For selfish their exit, even worse, But in between, I think I spoke about it here, that someone should have been, there should be at Ministry of Energy level or the other regulators, there should be someone that is keen saying, are these people fulfilling their mandate? The reports that we get in Parliament, everywhere, audit reports, are they the true representation of what is on ground? But you see, we don't have that kind of thing. And also the problem that facilitates us having laissez-faire inspections is that most of the times, I'm not saying this is all the time, most of the times, these are deals that are deals of banene, Because now when the minister writes a letter to, and she what she's saying is actually righteous in and of itself, when she says, from when they took over, production has gone down, complaints have increased, and she told her it cover. She's saying let's not put our heads in the ground. It's face.
And it was shocking when the Prime Minister in that letter of I think 3rd December, where he was saying no, there's not going to be anyone who will be fired. Let's halt what this process that the minister is pushing for. If we are to do an investigation, let it be underground.
Or let it be after the campaigns.
By era and after the campaign, because we are in an election setting. Even talking about power vacuums, why would the Prime Minister and Minister be sending arrows and dodging others over an issue of such national importance?
I think that it's no secret that Nankabirwa and Nabanja don't agree on many things. But that's besides the point. The point is, what the minister is saying is actually a good thing in and of itself. But remember, the problem is that you don't know if that righteous thing she's saying has a good background.
Or there's something that is not in the news.
Yes, I mean, some people rumors were circulating that her plan is to fail this deliberately, and then so that the local vendors can come and take over the way Umeme had done. You know, so you don't understand, is this her deal or is what she say? But what is true of the matter is that since UEDCL took over, many complaints have come up. The cost of the units that have come up, as some of us used to, you can remember what you used to use in a given period of time, and now you cannot do even half of the time. So many things have gone wrong with the way that they used to be back when. In
fact, the report for ERA that was shared, it concedes to revealed frequent power outages, voltage fluctuations, slow fault restoration, prolonged delays in new customer connections, procurement gaps, and human resource governance. It's actually a description of a failed system.
And because, you see, I have said it time and time again that the problem that we have as Ugandans is that our strategic planning
is
non-existent in everything. These are people that knew many years ago that they are going to inherit the kingdom of Umeme. They are the heirs of the kingdom of Umeme. So
basic preparation
should have been to say how many grids are going to be need service. How many of them what are they called? Are overloaded. How many lines get broken in this kind of thing? How are things actually run? Number two, how are things on the ground? They should have had, through ERA or whatever, or whichever thing, they should have had boots on the ground to actually check that what Umeme is saying is going to hand over to us, Harold. You know?
It's
that if I say that I have $1 billion shillings that you're going to take over from me in the bank, is it actually existent? Or I have properties worth this that I'm going to hand over to you. When you value them, do they actually amount to that much? So a small due diligence
would have solved a lot.
Would have solved a lot for them to project and say, this is what we need first of all, in resources, say manpower. This is how we need to recruit. Depending on the needs of the company, this is how we need to recruit.
I get you.
Depending also on
the inherited labor, because I think one of the issues they had was 2,700 inherited staff for Umeme. Bigger human resource issue with no solution and what to deal with.
Yes, so this was basic. What is happening is that something that was existent, something that you knew was coming into full force, failing to prepare to inherit Umeme's 20-year empire.
I get you.
Yeah?
It's
so that friction, actually the minister should be ashamed. This is directed, she has been Minister of Energy for years. She should take responsibility to say
she's firefighting something that she should
have solved. Why is she putting it? Okay, I understand that there's a place of accountability that UEDCL should have and its people. You know, but even her, she's culpable to say you did not supervise this process well. How could they not know that transformers would be loaded? How do they not know that, everything works like this, so that the absorption shock after absorption is minimal.
We also want to remind Ugandans that the arbitration case in London is still ongoing between Umeme and the government of Uganda. They are, I think, about the last I checked from the head legal Umeme. I think the update I got from him was that they were about to start a rehearing. There were many applications, the preliminaries here and there. To also give context that if it ends in a bad way, it would cost Uganda more money from the concession that still subsists. We hope that, at least for the basic services, as we still struggle for this and that, we can get them and the economy grows, the SMEs are not affected. Where we discuss tax or what, let at least the businesses be running. Let sanitation and some of these issues be received by the nationals. I think we have to close it at that.
Yes, for sure.
Thank you very much for giving us your time and for serving your nation in a way that you are doing. Also, thank me for
thank you so much, Harold. He does welcome. A lot here and he's a good brother. Thank you so much for building the nation and for your time. And I'm sure that we also want to thank our viewers.
Sure.
Comment, leave a comment, give us your thought, what you think, and share the channel so that your neighbor can be able to appreciate where our country is going. Otherwise,
maybe in the next show we'll come putting on our Santa hats as we prepare for Christmas. Sure. We wish you a very happy festive season wherever you'll be celebrating from. Just know that you are your own first family and have some joy in your hearts and carry joy to whoever will meet you. We wish you a Merry Christmas, and until the next episode, we are out.